about the ideas behind it, really how we came up with the ideas and all the way through to completion. I'm excited to show you. This is the Formations rug, and it's very much true to my aesthetic as far as contemporary architecture. We do a lot of contemporary architecture with our ground-up builds, and we source a lot locally, but we also source internationally too. So, but I am excited about the LA community. There's some fabulous product and also designers, and so it's really a lovely circle. And I'm very fortunate to be a part of it. Quality is so important, and I think for me, it's really been why I've been so hands-on with this collection. Trying to relay simplicity is sometimes so difficult. So we've really worked closely with the different pile heights and the different textures and the silk and wool blends, as well as the silk and wool independently. Really refining that has been so important. So there's been a lot of quality control on every single one of these rugs, and actually something I'm really proud of. The nighttime for me is a moment of still and quiet, where no one is coming at me and I can just kind of be in my own thoughts and really sit there and envision, creatively. That's really where a lot of it comes to life. I would give someone, or myself, just starting out in the design industry, would be to not judge somebody's 20th chapter with your first. It's such a long journey and everyone is so creative and ambitious. And for me, they've probably worked really hard to get to where they've got to, but they still have a long road ahead of them, just as you do when you start. And so I think that was a really big lesson for me and something that really stuck with me and kind of kept me focused and motivated and really kept my head down and in my own lane. A dream commission for me would be a boutique hotel chain. I'd love to do an international chain globally, but for me, when I travel, I love to stay in boutique hotels. There's a lot of little detail and charm about them that is just wonderful, and so I'd love to be able to put my hands and my own stamp on something like that.
I'm happy that you accepted to do this talk, even though we are not quite finished yet. But maybe my first question goes out to the wall itself. It's, if I'm correct, the first freestanding wall inside an institution. I have seen that you did the freestanding walls in the desert, and now you're doing one in Al Ula in Saudi Arabia. And so I was always fascinated by these walls, but I'm very happy that we have one right here now at this exhibition. And you were free to design the shape of the wall. So maybe you can tell us a little bit of how you came up with the shape.
I have been activating my work now since a few years, having dancers around my wall painting and in my installation. And I think when I was thinking about the shape of the wall here, I really wanted something, a wall to be alive and in motion almost. And so that's why we have this curvy wall here. And although it blocks the space as you enter, I think it's great. It creates a very circular movement for the people to go around. And because of the curve, there is always hidden places or always something to discover. So that was the aim. Obviously, we are inside, so it was a way for the wall itself to stand on its own. It's a perfect S shape, symmetry as well. And this one is higher than all the other walls I have done.
I feel that it has a really amazing sculptural quality. So I completely agree that sculpture is usually seen as something where the spectator moves around.
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm particularly fond of those projects because they are half painting, half a sculpture. It's half a kind of gigantic canvas. It's really this movement that it creates in the room that I think is really interesting for the viewers to experiment.
This morning I also heard that the work has a title.
The title is Heads and Tails, and it refers to the shape of the wall, but the pattern itself. When you enter on the other side, you start with the tail, and as you move around, you finally end up with the head here. And it's plural because it's you could imagine it's like one animal in motion that creates many somehow, or many animals that moves, and it's this constant going up and frontal and behind the scene, and it acts like although it has this tail and head, as the title indicates, it also acts like a kind of a curtain. And
growing up, I was really familiar with lots of the different product lines, such as fabric houses and rug lines, such as Maraband, who have been around for such a long time. It's just been kind of there and with me for a long time. I came out to LA as a dancer and decided that I no longer wanted to continue on my dance journey, and would have moved back to London and ended up actually probably working with my mother hand in hand. But I met my husband out here and he refused to let me leave. And I started doing a lot of his development projects, and we were getting such a great turnaround that I started to take it very seriously independently. And it just kind of, word of mouth, things just kind of evolved. And I actually really just started to create a whole industry for myself. You know, we got international clients, we started traveling nationwide, and it's just, we haven't stopped and never really looked back since. So Hal and I actually had lunch together, and I was aware that a lot of other designers were doing some wonderful collections here. And when I came in to really review some of the collections, I was immediately inspired and I was so excited. And I kind of thought to myself, how would a collection for me look like? What is it that I would want to do? And after seeing some of the other people's beautiful collections here, there's so much choice and there's so much range. I just felt like I'd love to put my stamp on this, and I thought we would be the perfect fit. So I went home that night, came up with some inspiration, and within 48 hours I had the whole collection ready to go. I think I sent it to the Maraband team on a Monday, and by Thursday we had a contract in hand and we were ready to go. So I think it's just been a win-win from the start. Everyone's been such a wonderful family, and no, it's been a real dream working together.
I thought it would create almost like a kind of empathic feeling when you imagine this big wall as an animal.
But then we are all of a sudden in a language where we have biological terms with it, which I find very interesting, because the Museum House Constructive usually, or the artists who have shown here historically, they have sort of avoided any context with nature. We quote Theo van Doesburg, who loves to say, or who used to say, nothing is as concrete as a line, as a surface, as a color. And in your latest references, you are actually quite quoting nature a lot, and you also have said that you were quite inspired by the images Ernst Haeckel, the German biologist and philosopher, has done.
I really find a lot of inspiration in the patterns we find around us that is actually composing our very nature and every element around us. Like if you imagine a flower or a starfish or an endless pattern in a pine cone, and that's a point of reference for me as a structure of life and how to represent days in a more digital way through the painting on a wall or on a canvas. And by this, I guess I want to show the perfect harmony and balance and the perfectness that exists already around us. And there is always this question: are we inventing mathematics, or are mathematics already existing and we are finding out about them? And I also find this fascinating. So yeah, looking at the drawings and incredible paintings from Ernst Haeckel has been really fascinating for me in this sense.
How does it become then this kind of wall?
Yeah, it started for me with drawings, pencil drawings, and then all the patterns are computer generated. So I'm really using technologies from the 21st century.
Some within the furniture.
realize an idea of something I have digested from many references I have looked through. You know, for example, how can you represent or how do you think looks like the cry of a whale, or if you would zoom into a flower, like microscopic zooming, you know, or maybe coral, you know, and that's what I think about when I start to draw those patterns. And I always set different rules: a number of lines, the length of the wall that will then exist again in the reality, not only in my mind. And the width of the lines, and then what all those lines should do or how they would act, and how to bring this to, again, something alive. And so having worked first with the computer, then the technique is to apply vinyl sheets. So as not opposition, but as a complementary, like as a reference of the wall painting in the cafe, which is actually really nice to have both now next to each other. The wall painting in the cafe was made 9 years ago. So at the time I was applying tape by tape. So I've applied kilometers of tape by hand. And then as my work evolved, I needed to use machines like plotters. And so now with my team, what we do is that from the digital file, we cut those sheets that are about a meter width. And by different application, only the vinyl remains on the wall, and then it gets pressed and protected with white paint or whatever color that is in the background, and then it gets painted over completely black. So I like this technique a lot.
I'm a big lover of textures and pile heights, and also natural textures. I always believe less is more. I love a lot of makeup textures and even earth textures. So for me, that very much played into the strokes rug, as you get the paintbrush hitting a nice acrylic piece of paint, kind of hitting the page and how it brushes down the page. Also with the Sands collection, that really was about how the sea kind of goes out and you get that moment of still. And you see the ripples in the sand just before the wave crashes again. Surfaces also was really about a crack in the earth up on a mountain. I was thinking of like a limestone and how you get those natural, beautiful cracks, but they're just unexplainable how perfect they are. And the imperfections make them so perfect with the different pile heights and such a simple line going through it. So that was very much inspired by that. I love interior architecture. I love building a structure, and we do a lot of fluting details and a lot of lovely intricate details around a fireplace and things like that. So for me, the rugs were very much inspired by that. How you would feature a wall tile with a waterfall in front of it. We kind of relayed that also on the floor, and we thought, how can we kind of play with a texture on the wall, but also textures on the floor?
First of all, it permit me to go really crazy with what I want to draw. You know, a human brain cannot conceive exactly those curves. This is just impossible. So since I'm using the computer, it's a machine that needs to cut what was drawn in the computer. What is always really nice during the install is that you almost do a kind of invisible work the first few days. Yeah. Applying the vinyl that is white or cream on white, and then we paint everything white to protect it, and then everything becomes black, and finally it's only the last days that the wall painting comes to alive and to something, because while we remove every tape, we can finally see it appearing. And then obviously there are some touch-up and cleaning around, and then you can see it all.
very often in your interviews and texts, you're referring that it has become more and more important to you to really think about ecological questions and issues of our resources and how we deal with it. Does it actually show in a work like this, or is this something which just accompanies you while choosing the image and choosing the topics?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. I think despite being really critical about what is happening right now on a ecological level, I think the aim for me is really to represent the perfectness of those structure of life that we should and we have to preserve. If you imagine oil spill in the ocean or a forest fire, it wouldn't look like that. So what I like to represent is this perfect harmony and symmetry and balance.
I'm a big fan of Christian Lier in the design world. A lot of his work and his product line has been absolutely beautiful, and I followed him for many years. I'm a big fan. Dieter van der Velpen is also a great talent, someone that I really love, and I'm a big supporter of his work as well. A number of things. I've learned a number of things in this industry, but I would say one that really stands out to me is patience, and also knowing that, you know, when we design luxury homes, it's really a group effort. It's not always just my input and just my team's input. So for me, it's been really important to make sure that we can help navigate the client, but really make sure that the client is enjoying and loving the end result. And so their input and their style is also very much considered as well. I love the LA Design Quarter. Selfishly, everybody is so close together. A lot of the stores and fabric houses are here, so it's really nice to have everybody close by. We know a lot of them and everyone's so warm and welcoming. But personally, I would say towards the beach. I'm a big fan of the ocean and spending time down there. In fact, a lot of the collection was really inspired by a lot of earth and natural materials. So for me, being by the ocean is really kind of therapeutic, and I enjoy taking my kids down there too. Claudia Afshar Design, we are so busy. We're doing lots of different things, but for me, I think I will be spending a lot more time on product development as well. It's been so much fun, and I've been very passionate about it, and so I'm excited to get a lot of our different avenues out there to a lot of you guys, so we'll keep you posted.
In this life that we need to preserve. So those patterns and wall paintings, it's almost like the DNA of, that's how I perceive it, the DNA of the life we need to preserve around us. So rather to show negative energy, I like to show what good,
yeah, what we should remember exactly. as aim to achieve. Thank you very much.